Thanks for tuning in to episode 3 of our 5-part series that we're put together for what every physique athlete should know. Kind of a good go-to video series of things that particularly newer athletes may not think of. And today we want to cover the cost of competing, but also how you as an athlete can save some money competing. So hopefully transfer some ideas on over to you guys.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, we all know that the sport of bodybuilding isn't the cheapest sport out there, but any sport that you're really investing in, you're going to put the money out to be in it. So some of the things that you guys should anticipate paying for as you get into your first show or whatever show you're doing is the cost of your suit. So males have it really, really easy. I think we spent, I don't even know what we spent, but we ended up having to we got him 2 suits because we wanted to match for the shows we were doing together. And then his first suit, the tan ruined it. We couldn't get the tan out, so we had to buy a second one. So 3 suits for this season, and he was probably still like a third of the cost of my suit.
So dudes, you're looking at like $25 to $40 for a suit.
Yes, absolutely. And then women, I mean, you could go as high as you really want to. I mean, $2,000, $3,000 if you want to. I personally did not spend that much, and my suit was custom made with Suits by Amy. I don't remember the range. It was like $300 to $400 or somewhere in there. But a way to mimic that cost or to minimize that cost is borrow a suit, right?
Sure.
Buy a used suit. Like females especially. I mean, I don't know about men. I don't think they really do much of the selling, but their suits are very inexpensive. But females are constantly, there's all kinds of Facebook groups you guys can join, you can be a part of, and you can find used suits that fit you. Now they're not going to be custom to you, so you need to be aware of that. You need to make sure that they're going to fit properly.
Yeah, you can always get them tailored, I'm sure, if the person you're borrowing it from is okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen a lot of people's suits share just around our gyms.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, when I competed back in 2014, I knew that I was going to have some things coming up. I didn't want to invest the money in a suit quite yet. So I bought one for like $100 from a friend, maybe $50, and then I ended up selling it and making a little bit. So, those are some ways that you can definitely minimize the cost of your suit. Females also, you have to have heels. So if you don't have those already, shop around. Do your due diligence. Don't just go to the first store that you see and get them. I got mine online. I think they're like $50, but you could probably spend anywhere from $50 to $300. Again, that's something you could borrow. You could buy used. I've got like 3 pairs of heels in this house. I could probably sell,
Sure.
but I haven't done that yet.
And before we move on to the next expense and point is, just remember that yes, the suit is very near and dear to you, but at the end of the day, you're presenting your physique. And unless the suit conflicts greatly with your tan or something, the judges aren't going to care what your suit or heels look like.
Yeah. It's definitely more for you as the athlete.
Yeah.
It is your day and you worked hard for it. So, but if you're trying to be cost effective, that is something that you can definitely minimize costs with.
So the next expense would be entry fees. You want to enter as many classes and get as much stage time as you can.
Absolutely.
But if you're budgeting, I would budget, well, it depends on how many classes you're available to do, but I would budget, if you're doing one class, a bare minimum of $100, and then another $125 for the sanction card in the National Physique Committee, that's $125.
Yeah.
So bare minimum, I'd budget $225. But again, I've seen entry fees all the way up to $1,200 because someone's doing a ton of classes. And this is for local level shows. You could easily probably double, maybe even triple that number at upper level shows. So we're speaking to budgeting for a local level show. I'd say bare minimum $225. If you're eligible for other classes, maybe up into the $300 to $400 mark.
Don't skimp on crossing over into other classes in order to have a fancier suit. Right?
Right.
Or something else. You guys enter as many classes as you can. Get on stage, get the experience, get the exposure, get in front of those judges, and show off the physique that you've worked 16, 20, 30 months for.
100%. There was a show I did this year where I didn't do an open class. I typically follow my own advice. I do as many classes as a promoter allows me to do.
Yeah.
I didn't do this class off the advice of somebody, and I would have won the class. And I'm still, I wish I would have done that class. So the last thing you want to do is be sitting in the stands being like, man, I'm losing out on stage time right now. And on top of that, I would have won the class. So do as many classes. Each of them have their own advantage.
Absolutely. The next cost, and this may not cost you anything, but your friends and family, show tickets. So getting in to support you. We try to, if we have a big group coming, we try to minimize that for them and purchase some for them because they are making sacrifices to be there for us. So that might be something that you look ahead of time. Typically, the local level shows here in Indiana anyway are 20 for the day show, 30 for the night show. You can also advance up to VIP if you want to sit in the first few rows. So just something to have, that you're planning for as an expense for your day.
Another thing to look at ahead of time, which I've been blindsided by this a few times, is parking. Is parking free? Is it not free? If parking is not free, can you maybe research some areas around the venue and let your friends and family know so they don't have to incur that expense? Or maybe people carpool, they just pay by the car or so forth. But yeah, I've had fans kind of blindsided, calling me, hey, Jesse, I didn't know there's parking and I'm running out.
Even athletes, you as the athlete, that would be an expense because you got to get yourself into the hotel or into the venue.
Sure.
So if you're not prepared for that, that can be an expense that could wipe you out or just really put a damper on your day.
Or a lot of times parking is cash only. And,
Yeah.
So just make sure that you research that as well. And then again, some cost savings there is, hey, can you park across the street if you get there maybe a half hour early and not have to incur that expense?
Absolutely.
So the
the next thing, obviously, you gotta eat, right? This is a bodybuilding competition, so you gotta build the physique. A lot of times, also, you're purchasing supplements, protein shakes, and things of that nature. Those are expensive. Those can add up very quickly. So we have some tips for that to how to save some money. But I will say, bar none, make sure the product and the stuff that you are purchasing is truly needed.
Yeah.
Because you guys, the supplement industry is like $1 trillion industry, and they make their money off of us having expensive pee. Let's just be completely frank. A lot of those products you don't need. Right. So do your due diligence. Hire a coach that is educated. Find someone that's experienced before you go and blow, $300-400 on supplements.
Sure. And yeah, on the supplements, I had a guy be like, oh man, I was going to compete. He had a rockin' physique. This was like 10 years ago. And he didn't because he said he couldn't afford supplements. And I actually wrote an article at the time he inspired. You don't need supplements to get on stage, okay? Yeah, some protein. When I'm talking about supplements, I'm talking about like your pre-workouts and stuff like that. You don't need it. Can creatine, beta-alanine, all that, BCAAs maybe help, but it's not going to make or break if everything else is on point. So don't stress out about the cost of supplements. Some good way to save on food and supplements is look and see if any supplement stores are sponsoring the show. Give them a call. Be like, hey, see you're sponsoring the Natural Indianapolis. Are there any discounts for athletes competing? Oftentimes there may be.
A lot of these sponsors, they're supporting the show. They're supporting you as athletes. So
absolutely.
It's a really good relationship to form.
Yeah, so that's a good cost-saving measure. Another great cost-saving measure is in our family, we buy our meat by the cow. So we'll get like 1,200 pounds of meat. And it's very easy. Like I can go to like my brother and sister, and they pay for a quarter, and we pay for a quarter. And you divvy that up, and it literally is like $2.99 a pound for ranging from very lean grass-fed ground beef all the way up to filet. You just cannot get that at Kroger or anywhere else. Super
inexpensive, super lean. You have it on hand.
Yep.
So there's no excuse to get home and not have something to have.
Yeah.
We've had a cow. We did half a cow.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
We still
have a freezer full. So, and we eat a lot of protein.
Right. Yeah, so buying in bulk, and the same thing with pigs. People think of pigs as kind of fattier animals. actually, there's very, very lean portions of buying pigs, and there's a lot of cost savings of buying pig as a whole. And these are things I didn't know about until I saw my sister. She's like, oh, we got our pig coming in. You know, and like very lean pork loin, pork chops, and so forth. So think about going in. I bet one Facebook post you put up there, hey, who wants to go in with a cow? You'll find 3 or 4 people. Now you got your meat, not just for prep, but for the year.
Yeah, for real.
You know?
The other thing too with cost saving for food is to contract with a meal prep service. You know, there's tons here in Indiana.
Yeah, King Cow,
Indianapolis, King Cow, Herculean. There's ones that are not in Indiana that'll ship to you. So find what you like, find what fits your needs. But that's a great cost saver. When we travel, that's what we do. Just because, let's be honest, if you're traveling, it's harder to stay on point. It's more expensive to eat out. So this is just a way that we've been doing for several years of travel.
Yeah, and absolutely. And a lot of times, like the meal prep companies, they'll have like a 1 meal a day, 2 meal a day, and 3 meal a day. And it's cheaper if you get 3 meals a day as opposed to 1. Where you might be like, well, I only need 1, but I like that price on the 3 meal a day. Find a couple friends, split them up. I mean, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, or just, you know, we find one friend and split the 2 meal a day, so you get the 2 meal a day price, you know, but you get 1 and they get 1. So kind of thinking outside the box from that nature as well.
Yeah, and going right hand in hand with that is just avoiding dining out. I mean, it is expensive. It adds up. It's not necessarily 1 meal is expensive, but turns into 2, turns into 3. Now you're eating out 4 or 5 times a week.
Sure.
Check your bank account. That's expensive.
We actually literally legit save money during prep because you look at the credit card statements and you're like, wow, they went from this to this because we're just not dining out.
Yeah.
You know, we're cooking and meal prepping and so on and so forth.
For sure. The other thing too, if you're local to Indianapolis anyways, I use an app called Shipt. And it actually is a grocery delivery service. And I don't know about you guys, but if I'm at the grocery store, I tend to buy crap that we don't need.
100%.
You know, I mean, it's just human nature. Like, oh, that's new, or that looks good, or whatever. Well, if you put in your app, like you go through your fridge, like, well, I need these things. That grocery person, the delivery person, isn't picking up stuff that you don't need. So that's a way to not only have the stuff in your house that maybe doesn't fit into your prep, but also save you a little bit of cash.
Yeah, super, super good point there. You kind of touched on it briefly, expense of coaches. Now, coaches is like supplements. It's not a necessity, but it can definitely help. And with that's probably a totally different video altogether. But I guess the best thing there is just, get references, do your research beforehand. You definitely don't want the most expensive person on the market, and you just like anything in life, you don't want the cheapest doctor to be doing your heart surgery or things of that nature. So, but just kind of putting the research in there, and we did this live before. Maybe look for experience and education, or a good combination of the two, and do you guys mesh?
Yeah, I mean that's an expense that the mentality of this prep is an expense that you can't put a price on.
Good night.
So while it is a cost to maybe hire that coach, getting on stage knowing that person guided you how you needed to be guided.
I wish I had one.
Right?
It
might just be worth it. I have a good coach. And then the 2 other real expenses that we wrote down for you guys is for females. Again, we are more expensive, unfortunately.
Yes.
But hair, makeup, you guys, you got to get it done, or you don't have to get it done. Maybe you're good at hair. I'm awful at hair. Like this is it. I would recommend using the show sponsors because of a few reasons. We've talked about this before in planning. They're on site. If something goes wrong, they're there to fix it. I would say typically they're reasonably priced, probably about $150 if they're the show sponsor for all of it. So I would recommend using them, but you can save money. If you have a friend that does hair, now they can't come into the venue. They can't come in and do your hair on site or touch up your makeup on site. But if you have a good friend that wants to do it, or your own hairdresser, whoever, you might be able to save a little bit of money of that. Maybe you can trade services if you can provide something. Like that would be a really good way to save some cash.
And then tanning, we have not covered. So tanning, that's kind of, I would look at it as an entry fee. Like you have to do it. pay the around $150,
Yeah.
okay, plus or minus, but I would budget around $150 for tanning, and just go with the show sponsor tanner. Don't try. I did it my own for years. Turned green like the Incredible Hulk. So tanning.
Not good on stage.
Yeah, tanning would definitely be another one. And then photography. There's kind of a new thing going on, man. Thanks to Dave Bowers, Mr. Indiana, is some shows are offering free photography. That we are going to be doing that moving forward.
2019.
That's a game changer, man. I did a show in Michigan, and I'm like, man, I wanted to buy some photos, you know. Next thing I know, Monday morning, I got freaking hundreds of photos sent to me. So us, when we compete, that's going to be a thing we look at, because photography can be expensive.
It can, but I would say too, guys, if it is offered, even if it is an expense,
Get
budget
it, yeah,
for it.
yeah.
You know, get your pictures, get the video. It is crazy what you think you see or what you thought. You know, standing next to someone you
Yes.
saw, and then you see it from the other angle, and
Yeah.
it's definitely a game changer. But it's also something to help you to get better.
Right.
For the next show. So definitely don't skimp on that if it is offered.
Yeah, and I'll say, if you're a pretty serious athlete, I would prioritize the video over the photography.
Yeah, me too.
I really would. You know, I think I spent $150 for video and photos. You know, and when I look at the photos, I was like, dude, I should have won. And then I got my video and watched it with a friend, and I was like, thank God I got my video. Now I understood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the video puts you in the seat of the judges. It's real time.
Yeah.
So you're going to learn a lot from video. So.
Absolutely. So yeah, so those are majority of your expenses, guys. The biggest thing is knowing ahead of time what's
Yeah.
coming. And also one of the biggest things that we recommend is get your entry in as soon as you decide you're
Yeah,
competing.
don't pay late fees.
Don't pay late
Don't
fees,
pay
but
late
also you can begin to break down the costs over that
That's a great point.
that prep, whatever it may be. I mean, I registered for our August shows, I believe in like May, and I mean, you know, that way I'm like, okay, now I got to get this and I got to do this, and you don't have to spend $1,000 on the spot. You can break that up
Right.
as you get closer to your show.
Yeah, but if you procrastinate it, then those fees all do hit you like a ton of bricks, and that's when you don't need financial stress.
Right.
It's like, you know, the stress is gonna be high enough the last couple of
Like,
weeks.
oh, hey, where'd your abs go? Oh, they went where my bank account went.
Right. Cool. Well, hopefully this is beneficial. Hey, if we missed anything, if you're a coach watching this or a seasoned competitor, we missed anything, feel free to put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Help the athletes out and rock on.